Hi everyone, welcome back. Now today we're going to talk about comping. This will affect rhythm section players like the guitar and the piano, people who play chords, not the bass and the drums, but the people in the middle. So, what comping is kind of providing a harmonic background to the melody and the solos. And it's kind of semi-improvised, but there's a very rigorous form to it. So, first of all, I need to talk about the chord structure of this tune. Okay. Now, in this tune, we have two chords. We have D7 and we have G7. Now, if you're unfamiliar with those terms, don't worry. I'm going to tell you all about it now with my excellent high-tech keyboard. So here we go. The first chord, D7, is based on a D triad. So if you play arpeggios, you'll know that. So we've got D, F sharp, and A, and I'm going to add to that a C natural at the top. So there we go. That's your basic, very very basic kind of classical sounding D7 chord. There we have. Okay, and the other chord is a G7 chord. So exactly the same thing, like a G major arpeggio. So we play G, B, and D together. That's called a G triad. And then on top of that, we're going to add a seventh note, which is an F natural. So G, B, D, F. So there's a G7 chord. So there we go, two chords, D7 and G7. Okay, now when you play them like that, they don't sound that jazzy, but we'll get to that later on. So first of all, we're going to practice playing those two chords with some semi-breathes. So the track's going to be crotchet equals 130, as it always is. This time, what I've done is I've provided a little backing track for you, so you can listen to that in this video, and you can play along. So what I'm going to do is play 4 beats on D7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 4 beats on the G7. And that's going to go round and round and round. So it's going to go D7, 4, G7, 2, 3, 4, D7, 2, 3, 4, G7, 2, 3, 4. Now it's good to try this, even if you're not a pianist. Have a go. If you'd rather play the trumpet or the drums or anything else, the double bass, have a go at this, 'cause it's really good for you. And even if you don't record a video at the end, it's still useful. So, that's called comping. Right, so step 1 is to practice those two chords with the following backing track. 1, 2, 3, 4. D7, G7, D7, G7, D7, G7, etc. Lovely, sounding good. Don't forget you can rewind the video and you can have as many goes as you want to. Make sure you do some serious practice on this before moving on to step 2. So, step 2 is all about making the chords sound a bit more jazzy. So instead of having basic sort of triadic type sounds, we're going to have some more jazzy sounds. So I'll put these voicings on the screen in piano notation. So the first chord, the D7, that sounds a bit more jazzy, doesn't it? I kind of like that sound. Yeah, that's a D7 one and G7 one. So we've got the chords are quite close together on the keyboard as well. So the way it's going to work is the same way as before. We're going to have 4 beats of the first chord. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So you can practice that with the backing track. No problem. Sound a bit more jazzy. And it'll give you a good chance to repeat that loads of times and get used to the positions on the keyboard of those two chords. If you play guitar, don't worry, just find your very favourite voicings for those two chords. Probably nice and high in the register would be better. Great, that's it for stage 2. Here's the track. 1, 2, 3, 4. D7, G7, D7, D7, G7, D7, G7, etc. Okay, so sounding good. Next step is to add the 3 chords at the end of the sequence. So these 3 chords are, I'm going to do them in root position first, a B flat major, which is the B flat D F, and then we've got C7, which is C E G B flat, and then the final chord is D7, which is D F sharp A C, the first, same as the first chord. So we've got those 3 chords, B flat, C7, and then D7. Okay. Now they sound a bit strange on their own, so we're going to do some better voicings again, like we did before. So I'll put them up on the screen, and we've got B flat, C, D7. There we go. So in time, it's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3. I'll play that again. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So give that loads of practices before you start using the track, just to get your fingers around those voicings. And then following that, there's going to be another track where you can practice the section on the end. So just so you know, we've got 4 times through the D7 G7 section. So we've got 4 times through this bit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. That's 1 time. Second time. Third time. 4th time. D7 and then G. And then it's a new bit. So the new bit, don't forget, is 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the whole thing starts over again in a big loop. So 4 times with the D7 G7, and then the 3 chords that we've just learned at the end, bar off, and then we start all over again. So the whole thing keeps repeating on a big cycle. Have a practice with the backing track, and hopefully it'll get better, and then you can go on to stage 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. D7, G7, D7, G7, D7, G7, etc. Next section, 2, 3, 4. B flat, C7, D7. And back to the beginning. 1, 2, 3, 4. D7. Fantastic. Okay, don't forget again, rewind the video if you want to do some more practice. Don't just do it once. You need to do it loads of times just to get really used to the form and used to counting the 3 chords at the end. Okay, step 4 is not very far away from step 3. We're going to do the same form, so we're going to do the 4 bars of the D7 G7 and then the B flat C D at the end of each 4 bar section. So the form's the same, but this time we're going to improvise some rhythms. Okay, we're only going to improvise rhythms on the D7 G7 section. So by that I mean stick to the same notes. So remember our voicings that we did before. So there are our voicings for the D7 G7. So instead of just going 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, we've got to think of that in our heads, but at the same time we're going to play something which is a bit more syncopated. So you might play nothing at all. You might play a short note or 2. You might play a long note. So the most important thing is that you keep thinking D7, G7 in your head. D7 all the time. G7. Because if you don't, you'll play the wrong chord in the wrong bar. So you can play the chord as many times as you want to, but you can only play 4 beats worth of stuff in each bar, obviously, because we're in 4 beats in a bar. Okay, so it might be something like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. Okay, see what I mean? So it's kind of hard to count and play at the same time, but you can play different rhythms, but you've got to stick to the D7, G7 format all the time. And then at the same time, you've also got to count that whole loop 4 times, so we can play the bit at the end. You know, the 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 4. Then you've got 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 to reset, find your position again, and to do the whole thing again. It's pretty tricky to count and improvise at the same time, so this might need a bit more time than the first 3 stages. What I've done is I've prepared a track with some comping on it, which might be similar to the sort of thing that you'd like to do in terms of the rhythm anyway. And then after that I'll put a backing track so you can practice the comping, so just with the bass and the click, so you can practice the comping and you can practice counting between the D7, G7 section and then the 3 chord bit at the end. Tricky stuff. It'll take a while, it's hard, but once you get into it you can kind of feel where the last 3 chords need to go and you stop counting, and as soon as you stop counting the whole thing feels a bit more natural, which is great. So yeah, practice comping first and then I'll put on some backing tracks, and good luck with the next video. It's a tough one, but I'm sure you can do it. 1, 2, 3, 4. D7, G7, D7, G7, D7, G7, etc. Next section 2, 3, 4. B flat, C7, D7. 1, 2, 3, 4. D7, G7, D7, G7, D7, G7, etc. Next section 2, 3, 4. B flat, C7, D7. And back to the beginning. 1, 2, 3, 4. D7.